What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and we are here on the Oklahoma channel at the voice of college football. In this video, I'm going to give you my early thoughts on the Sooners and if I think they will be better or worse in 2022 than they were in 2021. So here is what we had last season when we did this video. They were 9-2 in 2020. I predicted them to be better in 2021, and that really wasn't the case. The record was similar, 11-2 compared to 9-2 the year before, but I think most people would say that this team was not as good, at least the way the 2020 team finished the season. That team finished the season so strong, which is why I was really high on them. I thought I had this team in the playoff. I thought this team was going to be, I think I even picked them to win a playoff game and get to the national championship. But obviously, it didn't work out that way. And, you know, for whatever reason, it just wasn't a good year for them. Was Lincoln Riley kind of already on his way out the door? We may never know. But it was a very disappointing season. But they were still 11-2. They were still a top 15 team. They were still a team that was in the top 10 most of this season. So yes, we did predict them to be better, but I would still say that prediction was probably off. I would say that if anything, they were the same, but they definitely were not better in 2021. So we missed the mark with Oklahoma. Looking at 2021, again, they were 11-2, third in the Big 12. So looking ahead to 2022, will this team be better or will they be worse? So I've been kind of breaking down the roster. You look at the quarterback position. You lose Spencer Rattler and Caleb Williams, two guys that both could start on almost any team in the country, but they do bring in Dillon Gabriel, and I think that's the biggest transfer that they brought in this offseason. Without Dillon Gabriel, I think that this team might really fall off, actually. I think it was huge to get him to have a quarterback who can, with experience, a talented guy, a guy that can step in right away and lead this team. So that is a huge pickup for them at quarterback. Is he as good as Caleb Williams or Spencer Rattler? Probably not, but still a very quality guy there at that quarterback position. But they lost a lot of players. A lot of guys went in the transfer portal. A lot of guys were just done with their college career. And when I look at who they added in the transfer portal, outside of Dillon Gabriel, yes, they added some good pieces, some quality guys, but no one that really just stands out to me as being a potential star for them this season. So I think they could have maybe done a better job in the transfer portal getting top guys, but when you go through a coaching transition, obviously that can be tough to do. So moving on to the running backs, Kennedy Brooks is gone, huge loss. I think he's a really underrated player. I think he was one of the top running backs in the country last season. They do have Eric Gray coming back. They have Marcus Major, so you've got, I think, enough talent there at running backs where they should be okay. Wide receiver, losing Mario Williams, very talented guy. Jaden Hazelwood as well, gone. Michael Woods, gone. Austin Stogner at tight end. Jeremiah Hall, gone. I'm saying they lose a lot of pass catchers, a lot of talent there. Let's see if Marvin Mims can kind of go back to what he was in 2020. He was one of the top receivers in the country that year. Fell off a little bit last season, but he'll need some help around him. You know, you've got Drake Stoops, Theo Weiss coming back, but not a very deep group of experienced wide receivers for this Oklahoma team. And then they do have Braden Willis coming back at tight end, H-back, whatever you want to call it. Offensive line, they lose some pretty big pieces. Marquise Hayes at guard, that's a pretty big loss. Eric Swenson, they lose him. They lose Tyrese Robinson, one of their top probably their top offensive lineman from this past season. So you've got some holes to fill there, but I feel like this offensive line was pretty deep last season. I don't think that they're going to miss these guys too much. I mean, you look at a guy like Wanya Morris. I think he can step in and be a quality guy on the offensive line for them. Some very young, talented players as well. Chris Murray will be back. He'll probably lead the way for them on that offensive line. So, yeah, it's a little concerning with the big losses they had on the offensive line, but I think they'll be okay. I think this team offensively will be okay. I don't think they're going to drop off too much, maybe a little bit from where they were last season. Although at times last year, this offense didn't look very good. I know at times they did, but we'll see if they can be a little bit more consistent in 2022. But again, I'm not going to say they're going to be much worse or much better. I think it'll be a pretty similar offense, maybe a little bit worse. Looking at the defensive side of the ball, they lose some big-time players, and it wasn't really the transfer portal that got them. It was just guys moving on to the NFL. You lose Isaiah Thomas on the defensive line, LaRon Stokes, Perrion Winfrey, Winfrey and Thomas, those are big losses on the defensive line. Really, really talented guys. They do have Jalen Redmond coming back. He'll probably be a leader for them on that defensive line. At linebacker, they lose Nick Benito, one of the best in the country. That's a huge loss. Brian Asamoah also gone. So you're losing a couple of really good linebackers there. Some other guys are going to have to step up, like Deshaun White, potentially. You look at Danny Stretzman. So they've got some guys coming back, but I do worry about the depth there at linebacker a little bit. Do they have enough guys? Do they have a guy that's going to take that next step and be a great player for them at linebacker? It's hard to say right now. And then you look at the secondary. Not a whole lot of huge losses there. You know, Patrick Fields, he entered the transfer portal. Turner Yell, that's maybe their biggest loss as he is off to the NFL. But they do have some talented guys coming back. Jaden Davis at corner. You got DJ Graham, Woody Washington, also Key Lawrence. I think he has a chance to really step up this year. Transfer from Tennessee. Justin Broles, Billy Bowman, a young guy that I think has a very bright future. So the defense, I think, will be pretty strong for them with Brent Venables coming in. He'll probably, it's an immediate upgrade, at least on the coaching side for defense, and so that's the good news. But I just think it's going to take a little bit of time for him to kind of get that defense where he wants it to be. So I'm expecting the defense to be, decent, but I don't expect them to be a dominant defense just yet in 2022. So when we when you look ahead and try to say, will this team be better or will this team be worse? I mean, are we talking about the record? Are they going to lose 2 games again? Are they going to do better or worse than that? Or just will the on-the-field product be better or worse? And I think it's going to be pretty similar to what we saw last season. I'm not going to say better or worse. I'm going to say this Oklahoma team will be about what they were last year. I think they're very capable of being a 10-2 type regular season team, a team that could maybe get to the Big 12 championship or finish third, perhaps, if things go like they did last year, and Baylor and Oklahoma State kind of pull away a little bit, which I think head-to-head was a huge factor last season as well in that. But yeah, I think this team's going to be pretty similar. I think the offense and the defense will be about like they were last season. A lot of changes. You have to wonder, with the new coaching staff, how is all that going to work out in year one? Again, I think this team record-wise can get to 10-2. I really do. And just the on-the-field product might could even be better, because we saw them struggle so much last year. That's going to be very interesting to see. But I think long-term, Brent Venables is going to do a really nice job at Oklahoma. I don't see a big turnaround this year. I don't see this team being a real playoff contender, but I do see them being a top 15 team once again this season. So I'm going to say Oklahoma will be about the same as they were in 2021, looking ahead to 2022.